Hello, everyone. I am so excited to do another live training for all of you. And I am just taking a look at my technology. So if you are here watching me live, let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me, and all the good stuff. Okay. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dr. I. I'm a professor turned life coach and career coach. I work with teenagers and young adults to really help them achieve three things: reclaim their confidence, reclaim their motivation, and reclaim their career and life direction so that they can have real life success. So since the beginning of this year, every Thursday at 8 p.m. ET time zone, I have been going live to share a free training. And I have been really enjoying those trainings. And today I have a very good topic. It is my personal favorite topic. This is literally what I share with my paying clients inside my program. But recently, I have been having lots of conversations with parents regarding Dr. I, why it is so hard for my kid to change? Why? So I decided to do a training on this topic. Why positive behavioral and mindset changes are so hard for teenagers and young adults. I mean, change is hard for everyone, period, right? So it is hard for me to change. It is probably also hard for you to change too. It is definitely also the case for teenagers and young adults. So in today's training, and I actually developed a two-part for this training. I think we will only have time to probably discuss part one. So I will save part two for another training, which is the first part is what we're going to discuss today, why change is so hard. And the second part is what can we do about that? Okay, so today I will discuss three reasons. Actually, now as I'm talking, I'm thinking about another reason. So let me uh, uh, make a note. Okay, so if you are excited to learn about this training, let me know. And if you are watching me live, the power of joining me live is that you can actually interact with me, ask questions. So feel free to ask me any questions that you have. If there's any technical issues, please feel free to let me know. I will greatly appreciate that. And so without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, so first I will share with you three reasons why change is so hard. Okay, we're talking about behavioral change, positive behavioral changes, and mindset changes. Okay, specifically from a fixed mindset, what if I fail, to a growth mindset, what muscle am I building through this challenge? Okay, so reason number one has to do talking about mindset. So reason number one has to do with our attitude. Okay, so most times when parents come to me and their children, teenagers, and young adults are struggling with a lack of motivation, a lack of confidence because of school, they said that something happened in their life that they do not feel really good about their who they are, where they are. Okay, so they are constantly in this judgment zone. They are judging who they are. They are judging like I'm such a failure. I'm such a loser. And so when I talk about point number one, why change is so hard, this attitude, right? So I'm not only talking about your children's attitude toward where they are, but also parents. How do we think regarding our children's situation? And this is very, very important for all of us to understand because I'm about to share with you a concept that I really spend lots of time, energy, and money and to learn, and it really changed my life, change how I think about change and how I approach coaching my students when it comes to behavioral change and mindset change. Okay, so what I want to share with you, it is about emotional scale. Okay, so let me make a note here. Okay, I'm curious how many of you emotional scale or emotion scale or emotional vibration scale. Okay, there are different ways you can think about this. But have you ever heard of this? Emotion scale or emotional vibration scale. If you really understand this, you will really understand why it is so hard for your children to change. Okay, let me know if you're excited to learn more about this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Meanwhile, I want to remind everyone, I hold on, not this one. And I do have a free training that go away, please go away. Yeah, so I do have a free training that talk a lot about things that I discussed today. So if you are interested, like Dr. I, this is so interesting, I want to learn more. So here on the screen, it is completely free. You can check out my free masterclass. Okay. So going to point number one, your attitude about your children's attitude about where they are and parents' attitude about where they are. And I will discuss this in the context of emotional scale. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you are having a hard time seeing my screen, please do let me know. Okay. So what you see on the screen, it is emotional scale. Okay. Maybe I should check to make sure that everyone can see this. Okay. Okay. So emotional scale and you can see on this emotional scale. So please just ignore the blue box and the pink color box. They are really kind of irrelevant. So I want to only look at this emotional vibration scale from the lowest level to the highest level. The lowest level is shame, guilt, right? Fear. And the highest level is enlightenment, peace, love, acceptance. Okay. So oftentimes, and what I'm saying regarding the first point is your children's and your attitude toward where they are, how you are thinking about the specific challenges in their life, how your children are thinking about the specific challenges in their lives. For example, if your kid is constantly, right, maybe, trying to do school and was trying to do school hold on. I'm just checking. I want to make sure I'm actually sharing my screen. And let's say that, hold on, give me a second. Yes, I'm sharing. Yeah. Hey, Marissa, thank you. Hey, James. Yeah, I don't know why the comments are not showing. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah. So when you're looking at this, right, from the lowest level, that's when most children start working with me and something bad happened in their life. They're feeling very guilty. They're feeling maybe ashamed of where they are. So when you look at the corresponding energy, that is contraction. What is contraction? That is shrinking. That is isolation. That is just hiding. Okay. So that is not the ideal state for change. So more of the same will only make your children want to hide more. Okay. Let me ask you, when you are feeling ashamed of yourself, are you going to go out and start a business? When you are feeling so ashamed of who you are, where you are, all the bad things happen in your life, that is now the time for change. That is the time to shrink even more. The same thing with our children, right? So if they are already in that low energy state, that is the contraction state. If we are trying to shame, make them feel even worse regarding where they are, if the like parents, school teachers, neighbors, media, whatsoever, they are going to shrink even more to the extent they are going to socially isolate, self-harming, many of those things, because they are literally contracting. And so this is really interesting when you look at the frequency, and this is from Dr. Joe Dispenza. When you look at the frequency, right? Shame, guilt, they're very low frequency, right? It's almost like you see no motion at all. In contrast, when you look at the higher frequency, like love, right? Going back to the previous slide, when you are finally accepting who you are, like acceptance, love, and joy, that is the growing energy, that is the expanding energy, that is the time to change. That is the time to learn math, to learn physics, to learn a new language, to step outside your comfort zone. And at this point in my career, I have worked with almost 3,000 students. I have never met a single student who stepped into their superpower, who stepped into transformation out of shape. So they will only step into this growing energy after they have accepted who they are. And this is almost like physics, right? And then again, if you come here, we look at the emotional scale and higher frequency like love, joy, right? Appreciation, gratitude, much higher frequency. That is when things are in motion, when they are taking actions, when things are launching businesses, they're taking classes, they're joining clubs, they're being a leader, they're doing this, and that, they're creating all the time, right? We can relate when you are feeling excited, right? Right now, we just finished January. If you can remember a few weeks ago, right around the new year, everyone's like, yes, this is 2024. Let's do something about my life. I'm really excited. So we're all in that holiday spirit. So that is the time you feel like, yeah, I'm going to change. I'm going to grow. I'm going to expand. Okay. And so that is the first reason I want to mention. The reason it is so hard for your children to change is because if they are vibrating at this lower emotional scale, by the law of physics, they are not going to do anything. They are not going to change because they are in no motion like stage, okay? Very low motion stage. Oh, thank you so much, James. Yeah. And so a big part of what I do when I start working with my students is that I use our frameworks, exercises that I do to really move them up from the lower emotional scale to the higher emotional scale. At least they learned to accept who they are. They learned to accept where they are. And actually, quite a few of my students, their new year one word theme is actually acceptance. And I was when they told me that, I almost cried because I knew if they learned to accept who they are, where they are, that is the energy for transformation. So if you are looking for massive transformation in your teenager and young adult, the very first thing you must help them is move up on the emotional scale. Love them, learn to accept where they are. Okay. So that is the very first reason why change is so hard, because every emotion has an energy, has a frequency level. When they are vibrating, when our children or us, when parents were so mad, my children know when I'm so mad, I'm like, yeah, it's like really like I will lock myself in my room, hide myself. That is not the time to start a new business initiative. I just want to shrink. I just want to hide. And the same thing with our children. And that's why when if you remember, the chart I shared with you earlier, the shame, guilt, emotional scale, very low frequency, which means no motion. No motion means not doing anything at all. Right? So if you want them to do something about their life, you must move them up on the emotional scale. So that is something I see like many parents, like I myself, this is now to blame any parent here. And I myself made lots of mistakes myself. And I wish I knew this. I wish I understood this. That's why, all the parents in my program, this is the very first training I give to the parents so that they understand how emotion works. So they will actually, let's not talk about school. Let's first focus on readjusting the emotional scale of our children so that change can actually happen. If they are always stuck in the low emotional vibration scale, there will never ever be change. There will only be more shrinking. Eventually they will start self-harming, depression, suicidal, which can be very unfortunate. Okay, so that is the first reason. Let me do a quick summary here. And the first reason is that really our own mindset, our own attitude toward where our children are, and our children, their own attitude, their own mindset regarding where they are. Okay. Okay. Now working more. You can observe your own children. If they are in this constant judgment, they are constantly judging themselves, they're never going to change unless that is taken care of. Forget about change. Okay. So the second reason we're going to talk about relating to why change is so hard is I want to talk about the brain, right? And for those of you, if you know my story, I used to be a college professor. I I worked in higher education for many years, more than a decade. And I did teachers training, this and that. And one thing I always ask myself, why I never learned how our brain works. It is so important. And I don't know why we don't make this a priority for teachers to learn, for educators to learn, for our students to learn, for parents to learn. It is so, so, so important. Okay. And I plan to finish this training in like 15 minutes. I don't want to keep going forever. So I cannot share with you everything regarding the brain. That's why, really check out my master class. And or for those of you who are interested, feel free to book a call with me. And if you have a teenager or young adult, okay. But let me share some highlights with you regarding our brain. Okay. Highlight number one: do you know our brain is actually designed for survival, not for thriving? Let me say that again. Okay, you know what? Let me create a thing for you guys. So our brain is designed for survival. That is how our brain is designed. So our brain's goal is now to every day you wake up, hey, what are we going to change today? How are we going to innovate? For most people, our brain is designed for survival purpose, not for thriving. So when you look at this, you will see that by nature, it is very hard for us to change because our brain is not designed for changing on a daily basis so that we can be better and better. It's really designed for us to survive. Okay. So that is another reason why change is so hard. Okay. So within the category of brain, and I want to discuss another reason to explain to you why change is so hard. And this is really, really profound. I literally invest in thousands of dollars, joined so many programs, read so many books to learn this. And I really hope that this can be of some value to you. So again, please let me share my screen, and just give me a second. Oops, sorry, wrong link. Okay, here I'm going to share my screen. Again, if you can see me, please do let me know. Okay, so here is, okay. So this is about our brain. The second thing, the first thing I explained, that our brain is designed for survival, not for thriving. Okay. The second thing, there are actually four principles that our brain follows. Okay. I don't have time to discuss all of them, but I mentioned one. One of them is for survival. Another one of them is to conserve energy. Do you know our brain every day, there is a thing called decision fatigue? That's why, from small decisions to what am I going to have for dinner, to big decisions, where should I send my kid to school, stock market, retirement, like every single decision. So our brain can only make about 35,000 decisions. Many of the decisions that you make on a daily basis, you are not even aware of them. Otherwise, you'll be exhausted. Okay, that's why if you have a long day, you have to make lots of decisions. By the end of the day, you'll be like, what should we have for dinner? You'll be like, I don't really care. I'm so exhausted. Just give me something. Okay. So another principle that our brain is designed to do is to really conserve energy, because one thing is that our brain is bombarded with at least 35,000 decision makings on a daily basis. That is almost quite a few decisions every second, right? And so how does our brain conserves energy? You guys let me know. Do you have any idea what do you think our brain does in order to conserve energy? And I already have the answer on the screen. So what our brain does is to really rely a lot on habits, patterns, things that we have been doing for a long time. This is why, also going back to the first point, that is it's not designed for change. That's why change is very hard. We prefer to be in a comfortable state. Okay. And so our brain saves energy by relying on habits, established patterns. So if you have always been doing something this way, like say that if you have always been cooking pizza this way, your brain is just do it the same way. Your brain wouldn't like one day out of nowhere, like, yeah, I'm like, let's try to reinvent how we make pizza, especially by the end of the day, after you have made so many decisions throughout the day. By the end of the day, your brain literally has no energy. So your brain will rely on this established pattern of how you used to make pizza, and you will just repeat the same thing. That is how our brain conserves energy. Okay. And so that is also why it is so hard to change, because if our brain is designed to save energy, every time when you try something new, guess what? You will spend extra energy to figure this out if this is a new thing. So you see how tricky the situation is and how much our brain is designed to make it so hard for us to change, right? That's why they say change, like magic, happens outside our comfort zone. Okay. So I hope that gives you some insights regarding why change is so hard. And the third reason within the category of our brain is goal setting and goal accomplishment. They are totally different. Okay, so please let me explain this. If this gives you a aha, please give me a heart. Let me know. Interact with me. And so what this means is, let me explain here, right? So all of us, like we literally just finished January. Did you guys make a New Year resolution? How many of you? Let me know. Yes, no. Do you have a New Year resolution? So what is really interesting is that almost everyone is capable of making goals, setting goals. This is what I want to do this year. I want to eat better. I want to exercise more. I want to make more money. I want to read more books. I want to change more lives. I want to earn better grades. Like almost everybody can do that. But guess what? How many people can actually accomplish any of the goals they set in January? Very, very few. I think it's like 8%, if not fewer. Okay. And because goal setting and goal accomplishment, they are totally different. They actually involve different parts of the brain. Let me say that again because this is really important. Goal setting and goal accomplishment, they actually involve different parts of the brain. Okay, I literally just give you $1 million lesson there, seriously. And and that's why, because those two things are so different, that's why we actually have a day called Quitters Day. Okay, so what that is that the second Friday in January is the day when people decide to quit their New Year resolution. I'm not sure. Have you guys ever heard of this? I'm not sure if this is only in the United States or on a global scale. I guess I need to do some research on this. But this is the day collectively that we decide today is the day to quit, right? To give up on our dreams, aspirations, New Year resolutions. And that's why this is when I first heard this, I was like, no way. I'm still holding strong. Okay. I'm still holding strong. And my New Year resolution, but this is kind of interesting. And the reason this is such a global common phenomenon is because goal setting and goal accomplishment are totally different. Okay. So let me share this with you. So goal setting is mainly the thinking brain. It's the job of your thinking brain, the conscious brain, the thinking, the prefrontal lobe, the thinking brain. And this is, what examples like I want to exercise more, go to the gym, I want to read a book a month, or I want to read a few books a month, I want to wake up every day, I want to start on my schoolwork, and I want to make this is actually one of my students' goals. I want to make my first $1,000. I want to create a YouTube channel. Okay, that I think that is also a student's goal. So goal setting is a task accomplished by our thinking brain, which is our conscious brain. But what is really interesting about this is when you look at your brain, most of us know that we have the conscious and the subconscious brain. Our thinking brain, our conscious brain, is only in charge of 10% of the decision making, only 10%. And guess what? Your subconscious brain is actually in charge of 90% of the decision making. Okay, so what is your subconscious brain about? So your subconscious brain or unconscious mind is all about beliefs, values, habits, identity, right? So you can have all the goals. For example, I have a great example to share with you, talking about why change is so hard. So almost every single student not almost, quite many of them are struggling with lack of confidence, lack of motivation. Okay, so I'm just going to use lack of motivation as an example. So because they're not motivated, what do? They procrastinate, right? So oftentimes I hear this from my students. They will say that, Dr. I am a procrastinator. So that is an identity. So that is in their unconscious mind. That is how they see who they are at the identity level. So, but in my program, I actually give each of my students a premium planner that I design. So it really doesn't matter how many planners I give them and how much I teach them about overcoming procrastination. If I don't work with them on changing that identity, they will continue to procrastinate. Because why? If they see who they are as a procrastinator, guess what? What do procrastinators do? They procrastinate, right? And I had my biggest aha moment with my own children and with my oldest kid. And for a period of time, and he was lying to us a lot. And I started to call him a liar. I'm like, okay, wait a second. I need to apply my own coaching to my own parenting, which can be hard sometimes. So the implication is that if I call my own kid a liar, what do liars do? They lie, right? So it doesn't matter. We can have all the goals. You need to do this, you need to do that. But if I don't address the identity level, the beliefs level, like the 10% does not matter, right? So the final point is here. You can never outperform your subconscious habits and beliefs. And this is so profound. This is so, if you guys can really understand it, you can really 10 times the result when you work with your kids. Because in my program, when I work with teenagers and young adults to really help them gain more confidence, to really help them overcome procrastination, video game addiction, social media addiction, depression, many, many other challenges. And what I do is that I really go beyond the conscious brain. We really look at the BS. What is the BS? We really look at their belief systems, which is part of the unconscious mind, to really look at that. Because I know what we see on the surface is really only the tip of the iceberg. If I don't address or help them process anything under the tip of the iceberg, the 10% does not matter. Okay. So this is a big reason why change is so hard, because guess what? 90%, right? So 90% of your child's energy is here, right? The unconscious. So what we're trying to do is trying to change the 90%, but most people are working on the 10% while hoping they can have positive, everlasting changes at the unconscious level. It is not going to happen. If you are only looking and working on the 10%, that is most of the time, I mean, that's why we have a Quitter's Day. It's not going to happen. That's why so many people struggle with change, right? So only when you take care of this. But this is hard. Why is it hard? Because when you look at our belief patterns, when you look at our habits, when you look at our identities, when you look at our intuitions, when you look at our values, when you look at our memories, they have been conditioned and developed over a period of time. Okay. And I read this in a book that anything that happened to a kid before 8 years old will be stored inside their unconscious mind. Right? So if you are talking about change for a teenager, let's say this kid is 18 years old. So if every single memory, good, bad, and ugly, is stored in the unconscious mind as young as 8 years old, so that is 10 years of conditioning and to really strengthening that belief pattern, good and bad, right? So if when you are very young, you develop this message that I'm not worthy and I don't deserve to receive compliment, which is something I'm working on myself, it is very hard for you in the future to change that because that is at least 10 plus years of conditioning. Okay. So this is the real reason that change is very hard. This is also why if you want to have everlasting positive behavioral changes, mindset changes in your kid, you must working on the unconscious mind. And that is a non-negotiable. Okay. And so this is reason number 2. Okay. And I do have, and also talking about the brain. And also talking about the brain. And my last point is that for children, right, for boys in particular, their thinking brain is not fully developed until they are 25 years old. So there's also that, right? And so that is everything I want to say about the brain. Okay, so 3 things. One is our brain is designed for survival, not thriving. Second, our brain is designed to conserve energy. And our brain does that by relying on habits, established beliefs, and patterns. That's why it is hard to change. The third thing within the brain category, we discuss goal setting and goal accomplishment. They are totally different. Okay. The third point is very, very, very important. Okay. And so let me just do a quick note. Okay. So the second reason why change is so hard is talking about the brain. We discussed 3 specific reasons. Okay. And last, I do have a bonus for you. And last is so the last one is a lack of clarity. Okay. And many parents, they come to me, they say, hey, doctor, my kid is not motivated. My kid doesn't want to change. My kid is really stuck in a number of destructive behavioral patterns like video game, social media addiction, isolation, just social anxiety, depression, this and that. And you know what I say to the parents? Okay, I understand. Thank you for sharing. But oftentimes, our kid does not have a motivation problem. What they really have is a clarity issue. Okay. This is such a big topic. I'm going to do another let me know if you want me to do another separate training on this. I will definitely do it for you. So it is not so much a lack of motivation, but more so a lack of clarity. When I say clarity, I'm talking about clarity on 2 levels. First, clarity on who you are. This is something that we do not teach our students inside our education system. The education system is an outside-in approach, right? You learn this, you take this information, you do this and do that. But to really gain clarity regarding who you are, it is an inside-out approach, like layers of the onion. You have to go through that journey to discover who you are. But we don't really do that. We dump so much information to our kids, but we don't help them to go from the inside to outside. Okay. So first is this lack of clarity on who they are. That makes change very hard. Second is lack of clarity regarding where they are going. And this is also very, very important. And with that, I actually want to share this line from the scripture, which I really love. And here, this is what I want to share. Yeah, it is so good. Feel free to take a screenshot. Where there's no vision, the people perish. So, the scripture uses the word vision. So what I use is the word clarity. So, but we have the same message, which is that if your kid doesn't even know where they are going, it is impossible for them to change. They will just stay stuck where they are. If they have video games, social media, whatever addiction, whatever destructive patterns they're engaging in, if they don't have a vision for the future, they will stay where they are. So in my program, I Classroom Without Words, the very first step that I do with my students, so I mainly do one-on-one coaching with my students, is that we really gain 100% clarity on who they are and where they are going. And as soon as we gain that clarity on who they are, where they're going, so many challenges disappear. And also, I noticed that as soon as I help them gain that clarity, change, it is so much easier to happen. Okay. So that is my third point. The reason change is so hard is because this lack of clarity, and school doesn't really help us to discover that clarity. Most of us adopt this outside in, take a class, do another club. We're hoping through all the things that we're doing that we will help the kid gain that clarity. It is definitely helpful than doing nothing, but that is not enough. You must go from the inside out, right? Ask them to process everything. Okay. And so that, oh my God, 37 minutes. So that is everything I want to share in today's live training. So today we discussed, and I'm going to save the second part for the training. Why change is so hard. We discussed 3 reasons. Now, the first one is we talked about the attitude, the emotional scale. The second one, we discussed the brain, 3 reasons. The third one, we discussed lack of clarity. Those are the 3 reasons that change is really, really hard for teenagers and young adults. I think also for everyone, but especially the case for teenagers and young adults. So the second part of this training will be, okay, now Dr. I, you share this with us. This is why change is so hard. What can we do about it? So that is what I will discuss on the coming Thursday, February 6th, and next week. And I will be talking about that. And I have 3 specific solutions for you, okay, based on the 3 reasons that we identified today. And as I said, if you are a parent, if you are a teenager, Dr. I'm loving everything you shared. Please use the link you see on the screen to book a free. There's really no pressure on the call. Just for us to have a conversation. You can learn about my framework. I can learn more about your kid. If there is a good fit for us to work together, we will. But if not, just like have a nice conversation. So feel free to book a free one-on-one strategy call with me. I will personally be speaking with you and learning more about your kid. Okay. And also, if you haven't had a chance to watch my free live training, please go to classroomwithoutwordstraining.com. So in that training, I shared my own framework that I use at Classroom Without Words to help teenagers and young adults reclaim their confidence, reclaim their motivation, and reclaim the clarity they need to move forward in life, to become life ready, to become career ready, so that they can have, real life success, be financially free. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed today's training, and message me if you have any questions. I will see you next Thursday, same time, same location. Bye.